Today I'm going to go over how to disassemble your Mosin rifle for, cleaning and also cosmoline removal. Obviously, be the initial thing. This is a brand new rifle, still completely caked in cosmoline. I don't know how you can see that in the video, but this thing is saturated. So, first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to have a kit like this, most likely, that comes with your rifle. Okay, this is your, disassembly and cleaning kit, standard Soviet issue. In there is going to be a tool like this. You're going to want to take this and use this as your all-purpose tool for disassembly. Biggest thing you're going to need it for is a screwdriver end right on the end here. Okay, you're going to use that for taking the thing apart. So, first thing you're going to do is, in order to remove the bolt, oh man, that is gummy. Remove the bolt from the gun. What you're going to want to do is actually pull the trigger here and then just pull the bolt out of the back. Just like that. Very simple. We'll set that aside and we'll come back to that later. Now you have your base rifle. Now this doesn't require too much work to get the rest of it apart. They're relatively simple rifles. You just want to be careful not to mar any of the wood or strip the screws, anything that would take away from the look of it. So take your time and be careful. Now the toughest thing, and this is a new rifle so I haven't done it on this one so I don't know how hard it's going to be yet, is removing these bands up here. What you got, oh this sucker's greasy. You got a band here, okay, and you got a band right there. Those are your barrel bands. Those hold the upper piece of wood here to the bottom of the handguard. Okay? So, what you're going to want to do is there's leaf springs that are right there, and they hold it in place. You're going to want to push those down and then slide it off the end of the barrel. In an effort to help me get the front barrel band out here, what I'm just doing is removing the cleaning rod that screws that's in here. You just turn it in the normal direction you would turn a screw to screw it out, and then slide right out the front there. And that takes your cleaning rod out of there. The front one is usually the easier one, but sometimes you have to use your tool very carefully to push it off the end. Oh boy. Well, that was quite an adventure. The front barrel band was very hard to remove, but finally got it off. Just had to depress the spring enough, need an extra set of hands, and slid it off the front. But, well, more like hammered it off the front. Some of these bands are very, very, very difficult to get off. Usually they're not too bad, but sometimes they can be really wrenched on there, so you got to be aware of that. Once you get the bands off, and they kind of dangle on the front there, they don't come completely off, so don't get worried about that. You can see them there. So once you got those on your muzzle, your top handguard will lift off there. Your top piece, be very careful with this, it's very thin, you can snap it easily. And you have the rest of your rifle. You can see the barrel's exposed there. You can check for any imperfections, any interesting markings, and continue on with this assembly. So the next thing we're going to do, now we got that done, is we're going to take our fancy schmancy multi-tool, and we are going to unscrew a couple screws here. Well, here, we'll do this first. Doesn't really matter what order, but we'll do this first. There's a cover down here for the magazine spring, okay? It's this cover right here. Kind of wiggle it there. Okay, this whole floor plate here, magazine floor plate. Now what you're going to do is you're going to need to remove that. In order to do that, there's a little button here, more like a spring. You're going to push that out, push it that way towards the back of the gun, and it'll open up like that. Then it exposes your magazine. Now to actually take it out of the gun, because right now it's still captured on a bolt that's right here. Actually see the outside of the bolt right there. You're going to just pinch it like that. Lift it right out. Oops, slippery cosmoline. You can actually kind of see where it grabs here. That's where it grabs in there, and when you pinch it, it opens up there. Closed, open, allowing you to take it off. So that's your magazine floor plate and spring. Now, next thing you're going to want to do is see if I can get it cleaned off enough here where you can see it. Man, it's so dirty. Alright. There's actually a screw right there, right at the back. You can kind of see it there, just standard head screw. Flathead. You're going to want to unscrew that. Take your multi-tool. You're going to want to start screwing. Right? It's a pretty long screw. It never comes fully out, so usually once you get it clear, you can screw it by hand. In fact, it might be out already. Nope. Quite. We'll screw it out a little farther. Alright. Screw will come out. Set that aside. I got one more on the bottom here that holds the mag well in. You can actually see it right here. The screw right here. Okay. Same type thing, standard flathead. Gonna unscrew it the same way. It's a little bit shorter screw. Once you get it, there we go. There, now that comes out. A little bit shorter screw, so it's hard to mix them up. Bottom one's short, top one's really long. You can't mix them up. So, now the whole gun will kind of come apart. Alright, so now all we need to do is you got your magazine well here, and trigger guard. You should actually just be able to pull her out here. It might be a little stiff. Okay, we'll do it this way. This is how the gun wants to come apart. This is how it will come apart. You can actually lift your whole barrel and receiver assembly and trigger right out of the stock. Boom. Right there. Simple. That's all there is to that. Now, like I said, this should come right out too. This one's being a bugger. There we go. A little bit stuck there, but she came out. And then you have your magazine. All there is to that. And that's alright. Now the other thing we have to do is remove the trigger components here. You don't have to, but usually cosmoline is pretty gunked up in there, so it just makes it a heck of a lot easier if you can get it all out. Smooths out the trigger, makes it a little less gummy. So here we go. Basically, you're really only looking at 4 different parts in the trigger mechanism. Relatively simple. You have the trigger itself. You have the leaf spring here. That controls the tension of the trigger and resets it. Then you also have the screw that holds the spring in place, the leaf spring in place, and the pin that goes through the trigger assembly. Okay. So the first thing you want to do, probably be the easiest, grab a punch here, is to just pop the pin out. The pin goes, let's see, it's right there, goes all the way through. So generally they're pretty easy to move. It may be a little harder. Let's see if I can get it to go this way. Alright, there we go. Pop that pin out. Then your trigger is relatively free, just held in place by the spring here. So to remove that, you just take your multi-tool, you undo this big flathead screw right here. see if you can see it there. There's your screw. Now these two should just lift out and separate by themselves. And that's all there is to it. Clean all those pieces off and then reassemble in reverse. Man, this thing's dirty as all get out. First thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the cocking knob in the back here. Alright, and as you can see, there's actually a bump. Let me get something to point it out to you with. There's actually a little tiny ridge right here, and that's where the knob locks back into the bolt against spring pressure, holding the firing pin in the cocked position when the bolt is cycled back in the action. Okay, you're going to have to take the pressure off the spring by pulling back on the cocking knob and moving it back down this channel, twisting it this direction, okay, to the uncocked position. Alright, I'll show you here what I mean. I'm going to just pull back and rotate it like so. So rotated, this would be the fired position. Man, you can see all that cosmoline in there. Jeez Louise. Now what you're going to do is you're going to pull out the bolt. Whew. I'm going to separate in these two pieces right here. Got your bolt head and this L-shaped piece right here. Not quite sure on what the technical name for that one is, but you have your L-shaped piece there. Then you got your firing pin with the captured spring inside of the bolt body here, and you got your cocking knob. Okay? Now the easy part is this part. You're going to take your L-shaped piece and remove the bolt head from it. And the way you're going to do that is going to take and see if I can show you guys here. You're going to rotate the bolt. You can see there's kind of this groove right here. Okay, oh, right there. Okay, you're going to rotate the bolt in the direction of that groove, like that. Oh, excuse me, wrong way. Other way. So you're going to rotate it. It's actually locked like this, excuse me. I was looking at it a little backwards here. So it's rotating it like this and removing it. I'm going to set those two pieces aside. It's pretty simple to figure that part out. This is the part that most people don't like doing, understandably, because you have to get it perfectly right when you reassemble it. So I'll make a reassembly video on how to do that here and link it in. Okay, clean the firing pin off a little bit. Now you're going to want to take something with substantial amount of absorption for pressure here and put it underneath what you're pushing against, okay? What we're trying to do here is separate the cocking knob from the bolt body, from the firing pin spring and the firing pin. Okay, the firing pin actually runs all the way through here and it's threaded into the back of the cocking knob here. That's the back of the firing pin. Okay, now the way we're going to do that is we're going to push against the bolt body here. I'm actually going to take my hand and push down. Okay, and this takes a lot of force until you can clear the bolt body from the cocking knob, and then you're going to unscrew the cocking knob like so until it comes off. Okay. Now you can release pressure slowly. Okay, emphasize on the slowly part. Oops. Now what you'll see is you have your firing pin, and your firing pin spring will come right out of the bolt body. So you got a bolt body here, which is one solid piece. You got your spring. Okay, your firing pin spring. And your firing pin here. Alright. And that's complete disassembly. you can do more. You can take the extractor out, but quite honestly, that's really the only other thing, and it's something you really won't have to worry about. Just make sure you clean good in there, and that's all you really need to do. So, thanks for watching. I hope I helped. And you guys have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe to me for more videos. I promise I'll keep them coming.